patch of U11, but then we are like, yeah, let's get the hell out of here and let's get on to U12 now fully. But
yeah, the thing that held U11 back, from my knowledge at least, from what I've heard from a few of the modders who also work with the studio, like Lineker and stuff, was actually the animation overhaul was such a huge project.
That was huge. Yeah.
That it must. I can see that, especially since U10 added new attack animations that were just they weren't. The feedback wasn't huge on them, especially the jumping attacks. So then, obviously, just the team, I assume, just decided to completely go back on that and rework the whole animation system, which is a good choice, I think.
That was definitely a huge thing. But you know what? That wasn't. I don't think that was the core of it. I think the core of what happened was around U11 we hired a ton of new devs. Like an absolute ton of new devs all at the same time, and they were all new staff and all super talented people. But when you come into a new project and you don't really know the project, and then you've got then like 6 people adding code, whereas previous to this it was the lion's share was Cosby just adding code. But not that there wasn't other devs before, but he was like the lion's share of stuff would be going through Cosby. So now you had like a ton of new people adding brand new code, huge frameworks, you know what I mean? Because like you had the clothing system, you had the inventory system, you had animation overhaul. Like these are big system changing like pieces of architecture. And they all just smashed together. When the project kind of came together and everyone's like, okay, here's my bit, smashes together. And then it's like oh damn, so this is causing a ripple effect over here. This is causing this to glitch out. This is causing this. So like we actually had to get QA people on board. Like we never really had a robust QA system before then. It was always like developers QAing, and which was always something it was always a weak point for us, in fact. So that was kind of nice. At least we were able to address that problem for the studio. But yeah, it was like it really hit us. It was like, oh God, like we need full-time QA people like working around the clock on this because there's so much going on, and so that was it. I feel more confident going into U12 because now these developers are trial by fire. These new staff, like U11 was a tricky update, so I feel like everyone's going to go into U12 even more seasoned, than when they first came to Warfrog, and they're going to know the project so much better. And the worst of the frameworks are over, you know what I mean, for now, until we get to Crystal Hunt. I feel good about U12. I don't think it's going to be so crazy. At least not as crazy as U11 anyway.
Yeah, I think the only update that would I think was longer than U11 was U8. U8 was
oh hell yeah.
But that was because that was U8.3 was like there was a period of time where if you didn't have a god tier PC, your game was not going to run.
Dude, yeah, the game. It was borked, like it was, 8.3. It just smashed the game, and it was a huge pain doing 8.4. That was the big character rework, but I'll tell you something, completely worth it because it completely set the stage going forward for like that whole. Do you remember that whole issue where like characters would spawn in, it would just lag? It would just be like a dirty second or two of lag. And every time it's just like, oh my god, character dies, lag for like a second. I was like, oh, and so
crazy.
Yeah, so that was like it was a huge pain. It was a huge amount of time. Literally had to rebuild that part of the game, but it was completely worth it going forward. It made dungeons possible too.
Oh yeah, I mean, also speaking of, I was actually aware of the QA being hired as a good friend of mine, Mythicus, got hired.
Oh yeah,
and
Mythicus,
he was beyond excited to be working for the company. Like, you should have heard when he got in the call with us, and he was with me and downloadable content. We're in a call, and Mythicus joins, and he's like, "Guys, I'm working for Warfrog." And I was like, he was so overwhelmed. It was great.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's always on hand to help with videos for me and Drifter, so it's really nice. But moving on to U12. First of all, the swimming excites me because it was quite unfortunate if you fell into the water in the home in U11.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, totally. And I mean, you probably... the writing was on the wall, wasn't it? It was like, when we added the ocean, the very first thing people are like saying is like, oh, well, there's swimming. And I think in our hearts, we knew that was going to happen. Like, so yeah, that was like a no-brainer. And we were working on it like straight away. It was like, okay, look, we got to add swimming. And the whole thing about that was just, we just didn't want to be like D-pad, kind of swimming.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it's played in Sorcery. We want to be as immersive as possible. So straight away, it was like, okay, how do we do physics-based swimming? Let's do this. And that was that.
It looks great from the little previews on the page. I really enjoyed. I enjoy the idea of like even showing off that you can use the oar to go around. I can imagine people are going to be like, probably going to be like sat on crates or something trying to like push themselves along. It's going to be great. Really exciting to see what people are going to mess around with there.
Man, that was like a last second addition to the news, because I was posting the news and I was showing Cosby and he's like, oh, he's like, add this little thing about oars. And he was kind of like informing me about it, because he was saying about like this new component to items, the drag area, like, so it's like, that's pretty cool. Like that's a really kind of realistic physics-based element, and like modders can mess with it too. So
that's gonna be cool.
You never know what kind of interesting thing they'll add in. But I thought that was neat. I thought that was pretty sophisticated kind of physics-based thing there.
Yeah, it's very. I don't think there's any other VR game with physics-based swimming, so it's going to be really cool to also see, like you said in the post about the new dungeon rooms that are going to have underwater sections, and so that's going to be so cool to be able to add a new level of stealth and swim underneath and round and then pull someone into the water, and it's gonna really add a lot to the game. I think even for such a small thing, it's gonna add a lot. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and we'll keep going with it. Like the couple of water bits in the dungeons are just attached to the side rooms. But like if players are interested in it, we could maybe do something more sophisticated. Like we can see. We'll keep reading what people are saying and take feedback from that, and move ahead accordingly.
Absolutely. I think as well, I think for me personally, the most exciting thing that's coming in the in U12 is more pushes on the animation overhaul, because for me, my favourite thing to do whenever I'm not recording, because 90% of the time I spend in Blade and Sorcery is recording because of work and I don't have time to really play games casually that much. But whenever I do just get in, I'd love to just, go back and forth with NPCs and see how quickly I can parry, riposte, counter, all that kind of stuff. I enjoy the more realistic sword fighting end of the game rather than the sorcery. As great as some of the spells are, that's in my area is that. And to see, like, the ideas of more animations, better AI behavior and all that kind of stuff, it really excites me, especially to see NPCs really defending properly and countering properly, because right now they do have elements of riposting, they do try and counter you, but sometimes I think that system has led to the AI thinking, I'm not going to attack until I block yours first and stuff like that. So it's with the new stuff that's coming, it excites me a lot. Yeah,
like I know from what I know from like adding input to it is with the shields. Obviously shield bash is there, and then the AI, the brain for the shield guys is now more focused on turtling riposte. So that's cool. So they might be a little bit less kind of aggro. But regarding the combat animations, I was just joking with Rob from Downloadable Content yesterday about this. Is that I haven't actually played it because it's in a dev build, and Bowtie does their AI stuff, and this is hearsay. Okay, so take this with a pinch of salt because I haven't played it myself. Okay. But Bowtie told me that it was kind of hard to go back to U11 after playing U12 because apparently the AI is tweaked better and the combat animations are better.
I could imagine that. I could see that.
Yeah, so take that with a pinch of salt. I'll get back to you when I actually play it and confirm that I agree with that statement. But that's what Bowtie was saying. So it's made me excited to see U12. I haven't played it because I just don't. There's no export dev build, and I just don't have the Unity project on my PC at the moment.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to try it, but I'm dying to get into it and see like, oh, is it significantly different? Are we just talking about a couple animations here? Like, so definitely we'll get back on that and we'll chat a bit about that maybe in the future.
Absolutely. It's nice to hear Bowtie say something like that as well, because I remember when U11 dropped and the animation overhaul dropped, he actually openly said he wasn't too happy with how the AI was in that, and he wasn't completely happy with his work on that. And he said that he's working really hard to fix that, and if he now thinks it's good, he's quite a tough critic on his own work, so it's nice to hear that from him. I assume it's probably leaps and bounds better than what we've got right now, which is, even now, is an improvement on, I mean, U10 got pretty good towards the end, but originally jump spam was crazy.
Every second attack.
And then it got better, but I think the animation overhaul now added more interaction between it, and now to have this new update that's coming is going to be even cooler. I can't wait.
Yeah. For anyone listening, Bowtie does the AI, so there's some extreme bias there, But exactly like you're saying is that the one thing about Bowtie is they are pretty critical. So that is
absolutely yeah. And I'm sure this will have the same effect as Doors had in U11. But, what I was gonna say is Breakables. That's gonna be cool. I feel like it's ever since we've been able to pick up pots and plates and throw them. It's been like everyone's wanted to smash a chair over someone's head or throw a pot at someone and break it.
Yeah. This surprised the hell out of me, okay? Because this was like a last minute thing to tack into the news. I was like, what? I was like, this is ready. I didn't even know this was being worked on for U12. So I was like surprised as hell when I was told like, hey, this is actually ready. So I actually got a bunch of information just yesterday expanding on how it works. So basically, what someone asked me yesterday, what will be breakable? And what will be breakable is anything that one of the Warfrog devs makes breakable. So in theory, anything we could make anything be breakable, but not everything will be breakable. It'll just depend on what the developers get around to.
Yeah.
So at the moment, it's chairs and pots, but then just talk about expanding it to tables and benches and stools and things like that. Yeah. So just wanted to throw it out there because someone was asking me about that yesterday.
I think the really interesting thing about this system, having a breakable item system now, is that in the future there's nothing to say that, they couldn't make it so if the enemy has a wooden shield and you're using a big flanged war mace and you smack that thing hard, it doesn't break, there's so much potential, and if this is a system that we're going to be able to even go into modding with, it's going to be
I was just about to say, that was also another thing I just learned more about yesterday was same thing, can modders mess with this? The answer is modders can mess with this. But it would be the case that modders can't make breakable items out of our items.
No,
because there's just no support to that. But if a modder added their own item, they could make it breakable.
That makes sense.
Pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Really cool.
You know what I bet you we'll see? I bet you some modder will go and he'll make a breakables content pack mod.
Oh,
you know it's gonna happen.
Absolutely. There's gonna be glasses, beer bottles, everything.
Exactly.
And do you know what I really expect is Toaster Muffin, who makes the Nocturnus map?
Yeah.
His tavern is gonna be full of breakable stuff.
Exactly what I was thinking. Exactly.
Yeah,
someone's gonna do a bar brawl. If not Toaster, someone will do a bar brawl mod.
Oh, 100%. So the biggest thing for Quest users on this update is unfortunately not Nomad scripting. For everyone who's going to ask in the comments. I'll address that now for anyone who hasn't seen the post. Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. That's the thing. Yeah, not yet.
But it is definitely going to happen. It's on the table 100% from what I know. It's just a problem. It's
still going. Yeah, it's still going. The only question mark is the release date, and it's just because we don't know. Just flat out don't know. Like the last I heard of it, last I chatted with our dude about it was he had something, and he was testing mods with it. Some mods working, some mods not working. So in other words, that's not good enough. So that's why he's like wrapping his brain around right now. Why is this not working for everything? And Yeah, it's some complicated work. Like just to remind, like this is unprecedented work, you know, in the quest. To add scriptable modding to the quest is nuts. It's completely crazy, and he's just working away in it. So like, you know, don't add pressure to the guy. Like he's already doing his best, and you know he just can't give a release date for it. It's like how long is a piece of string, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the community's starting to become better with the patience on that. I think originally it's because it was like, I think they expected it earlier because, you know, there was talk about it being added in U10, and then like it was all this kind
of
U11
stuff. I believe it was. It was. I think the idea was that, you know, people were saying, when can we expect this? And the ballpark that was given, because it was looking like it was going to be, the ballpark was like U11. And then, you know, U11 hit, and then there was the betas, still no scripting, checking in with our guy. Hey, the ballpark was U11. How's it looking? No, sorry, problems. And dude, that's why I don't give ballparks, because, you know, a ballpark is only supposed to be a guess, you know, but it's like some people read it and they think it means, oh, definitely. Yeah. You know, and it's like, oh, that's not good, because then when this happens, then you get saltiness about it, and they're saying, but you said U11. And it's like, well, that was the hope, all right. That was the estimate, indeed. And just as the nature of estimates, it did not work out. So that's why we just don't like to do release dates. That's why we don't like to do ballparks. And that's why we keep so much so secret, too, is because, like, dude, I wish I could just, like, spill the beans on Crystal Hunt. We have so much crazy stuff coming in Crystal Hunt, and we just don't talk about it because we don't want to, like, hype people up and then let people down. So it would be better for us to just be like, hey, surprise, like, guess what, we're working on this crazy stuff, like, and then people are like, what? And that's better, you know, rather than saying, hey, this is coming, and then people saying, like, you know, like, when, you know, and that's no fun, you know. So yeah, we prefer the whole, you know, under promise over deliver thing, and
that's the best way to do it. It's absolutely the best way to do it. In past experience, when you look at games like Cyberpunk, which overpromised, and No Man's Sky, which overpromised and actually won the hearts back, and it's done great now. And their next update is fully focused on VR performance, which is exciting. But awesome. I was gonna say the main thing for Quest users here is an in-game mod manager. That is huge for Quest. For PC, it's not as, like, a lot of PC players will still like to just sit down, get all their mods together, throw them all in, then get in the headset. But for Quest users, that is huge. Absolutely huge.
Perfect example of under promise and over deliver, because we'd been working on it since U11, and it's been on the radar since Nomad dropped. So we were reading those reviews and, like, absolutely knew that everyone wanted this mod manager. So it was just a case of getting around to it, and, like, there were some technical complications, but dude, the guys were always working on it. We just didn't want to talk about it in case it didn't happen, because, again, didn't want to let people down. And it was just a case that now it's like, hey, this is looking pretty good. This is looking like it's going to happen. So that's kind of why we feel more comfortable to say it now. So
yeah, I think that makes the most sense to do as well. I think it keeps people from kind of building expectations which might not get met, and then that then becomes like, oh, the developers aren't doing what they say, but it's like, you're taking it the wrong way. The devs never said they were going to 100% do this. It's like, I see that a lot.
It's always good intention, you know, and too, you know, like the Quest players are they're really going to win out, because, you know, like, no more mess with apps or wires, or literally no PC required. That's going to be awesome. But yeah, for PC players too, I mean, that's going to be pretty good. I mean, no more messing around with manual mod installs. And I mean, even before Nomad was made, the number one messages I get every day are like, you know, hey, I'm having a mod issue. And it's, you know, people installing outdated mods, or they're installing, you know, the subfolder. Oh man, that's like the most classic mod issue. People putting their mods in a subfolder and then it doesn't work. So, I mean, that just eradicates that. That's going to be, like, incredible. Yeah. One click install is going to be amazing. So,
absolutely. I think the biggest thing, like I said, for me, is going to be being able to make our own dungeons. I think that adds infinite content to the game. Because dungeon mode is great. I love playing through it. But once you run the same dungeon so many times, it's like, you know, I find myself going back to Sandbox a lot. I mean, for videos, dungeons are great, but when it comes to modding dungeons and having custom dungeons, for me personally, as a content creator, that is just limitless content there. It's
hopefully,
insane.
yeah, dude. It was the whole backstory to this was just that there was a component of dungeons that used this third party asset, and when you like purchase a license for that thing, that's fine. You can use it, you have permission to use it. But what you don't have permission to do is distribute it. It would be a bit like if you got like an Adobe Premiere Pro or something like that, and you're like, oh cool, I bought Premiere Pro, and then you put up on your website and like, hey, here you go, everybody, I got an account, we're all good, let's all use Premiere Pro. So there was legal issues there where you couldn't just put that into the SDK, and that was what was inhibiting us to do that and let modders mess with the dungeon system. So for ages, you know, it was a question mark because it was like, look, well, you know, there's no way around this. The only way around this is to literally build our own, and that was just the concept of that was madness, you know. But dude, like, modders are the best. You know, they really, really are the best. We're huge fans of modders, and like our attitude of Warfrog is like we feel like 0% threat from modders because. Dude, how can you not love mod communities? They go out like it's actually you're a modder yourself, dude. You know it's literally work. Okay, it's literally work make a mod, but they do it because they just love a game.
So yeah, the thing I was gonna say is with when it comes to like modding, I don't understand some studios thinking modding will harm the game. Unless it's a multiplayer game, then I definitely see that. But when it comes to, for example, the guys at Hellsplit, the devs are really nice. I've spoken to a lot of the devs, but I will never understand their mentality. They've finally gotten modding. They're finally starting to do modding, but for so long they were like, we don't want to have mods because if there's bad mods in the game, then we don't want people to think that's what our game's like. It's like, no one will ever think that, you know?
Right.
And it's like, it's the same with Boneworks, that when Boneworks first started getting modding, they didn't fully support it. There was even a massive message on your screen when you recorded the screen for modding that said this is not a representation of the game. And it's like, you know, when you show off a game with mods, I think people very clearly understand what's a mod and what's not. It's normally quite obvious, and if it's not, then it's clearly a good mod if it's not obvious that it's a mod. So
yeah, that's it. I mean, that's how I feel about it. That's interesting what you're saying about the Hellsplit guys. I didn't know that. And that's kind of like that's a pretty interesting take. I never really actually heard that kind of angle on it before. I always felt like it was either if they didn't have modding, okay, it's either the case that they just don't want to get into modding because they don't maybe see the value of mods. Maybe they're not big modders themselves, and I think that's a bad move in my humble opinion.
Yes.
Or they feel maybe too precious about the game, and so they don't like the idea of mods kind of like going like for example, imagine if Cosby was really hardcore about like, hey, this is a fantasy, you know, medieval kind of vibe game, and then someone comes out with lightsaber and it's like, oh, you know, that's not the plan, or someone's modding in guns or silly stuff, and you know, you maybe feel kind of a bit precious about your game. It's getting like a little bit wacky, you know, and maybe I could see a developer being like, oh, I don't like that idea. I don't like wackiness being added to my game.
Absolutely.
Or the last concept being like, and I think you probably know what studio I'm talking about, big studio I'm talking about, but like shutting down mods because maybe they're saying like, or well, they're not saying this, but we're all thinking, hey, they're probably going to monetize this. They're probably going to do their own version. You know, there was a bit of Patreon drama you might have read recently about like I
think I am aware.
A very famous mod getting shut down from a very famous studio. So you know, you got that kind of attitude too, and that just sucks. Like the whole thing just sucks. It's like modders add so much value. They're some of the most loyal player base you can possibly have. I just don't get it. I don't see why you wouldn't go all in.
Yeah.
And dude, Blade and Sorcery, like it's from the start, it was made for modders. Like we're a hair away from it being like freeware. Like at this point, like we don't want to give the whole engine away, but we're down near close. You know what I mean? Like. So.
Well, it was made by a modder. Originally, Cosby was a modder, so it's like it makes the most sense. And as fantastic as the fantasy aspect of Blade and Sorcery is, I can almost guarantee that lightsabers being in the game and the Outer Rim has sold so many copies of Blade and Sorcery that these game developers need to understand that like some mods can sell your game. They really can.
Dude, so Alex, for anyone who doesn't know, is the dev behind Outer Rim. Dude, Alex is a legend. Like this guy is making mods of quality that could be official Star Wars content expansion packs.
Yeah,
and that's a dream situation for some players who are like the big Star Wars fans, and like Disney or whoever are just choking the IP and like won't release it, and anytime they release it, they'll do something crappy with it. But a modder doesn't have those shackles, right? And then when you have like a framework like Blade and Sorcery, what a dream scenario. So then you have this guy like Alex out here, breaking his back to make this incredible quality, highly polished mod purely free for fans to enjoy. Dude, how can you not like it? It's crazy to me that not everyone around the world is holding hands saying modders are wonderful. It's crazy.
I found out something really funny when I had a chat to Alex at one point about so this is the level of dedication for people who aren't aware. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or what he did. So he sat through Revenge of the Sith almost 10 times and soundbited 3,000 lightsaber sounds to make his sound effect system for his lightsabers. That is dedication. And I hope next time you guys swing those lightsabers, you're fucking grateful, because my god,
exactly.
It is. When I first used those lightsabers in VR, I couldn't get my head around how good the movement and the sound effects were. Like it's almost AAA quality from a singular person. It's insane.
Yeah, exactly. And people need to know how much quality Alex puts into Outer Rim. I worry about him. That's how I feel about it. And he wasn't even a Star Wars fan when he started. That's the best part of the story. But he really got into it. But I worry about the dude. He's such a stickler about detail and high quality, and that kind of stuff weighs on him. And it's like at the end of the day, it's a mod. He's doing this for free, So, dude, I would plead with everyone out there, give that man some patience, give that man some benefit of the doubt, because he is on a next level of modding. He's really doing a lot for the mod community, just on his own time. He has a job, do you know what I mean? He's working, so to do this kind of quality in his own time, give that guy every piece of benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, absolutely, because if you push someone too much and you're too impatient and you keep saying, when's the new update, can you update this, it's like, he's going to stop enjoying modding and you're not going to have the Outer Rim.
Absolutely.
Because he even said the reason the U11 update took so long for it is because he just didn't want to mod. Because people were just so persistent, and I was just like,
don't blame him.
I am not surprised. So, to everyone out there who loves the Outer Rim, please just be patient with him, otherwise you will not have the Outer Rim anymore. It's simple as that. It really is. It's the same with It's same with so many mods, like the medieval mega pack, give Sushin space. When I'm making my fantasy pack that I don't really have much time to work on, I'm between YouTube and work and other stuff. So when I do sit down and make the mod, I feel from these other modders as well, just patience 100%. And it will come, because eventually that modder's gonna not really want to continue if you're gonna keep pushing. And I know a lot of people are respectful, but there are a lot of people who don't really understand the work that goes into these mods.
Mm-hmm. Months and months sometimes.
Yes.
And you're 100% right, man, because these people all have jobs. They work full time, and then it's they come home and then they're like, okay, time to work on the mod. And make no mistake, it's work. And it's like if pushy players will make them feel like this is a second job, like then it's not gonna be fun. This is their hobby. So definitely have some patience. And dude, it's a parallel to what I'm saying about scripting, dude. You know, it's the same kind of thing. The difference, of course, is that this is the guy's job, but it's the same kind of thing. It's like if it stops being fun, if he feels miserable, it's not gonna be a fun day out. You know what I mean? It's like he's not gonna have the same drive or hype or motivation. And
Yeah.
that's what I just say. Like, go easy on people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Don't pressure people.
Absolutely. I think people in the community are starting to get better at that. Definitely. I've seen less pushiness.
I would definitely go ahead, by the way, and say like the vast majority of community people are super awesome. Do you know what I mean? It's always just a minority who who just maybe they just don't really kind of think about how game development works, or maybe they don't realize how much work it is. You know, that could be the thing too. So
well, yeah, the community's great. I mean, I've built a lot of what I have off this specific community, and I'm finally just starting to branch out. But it's like, I mean, I remember posting my first 2-minute video in the Blade and Sorcery media channel. I think it was just called Game Media back then, back in U7, and I was just messing around with that, and no one knew who I was, no one was there, and now and then after a while I approached you for the role after maybe 9 months, and then I started getting recognized, and now I'm probably gonna hit 10,000 subs in like a week.
I saw that, man. It's like I watched you grow, dude. I remember it all. I remember
you had a big part in that. You giving me that role gave me exposure, and that was a big part in that. And it's like from going from no one to like being like probably in the Blade, specifically the Blade and Sorcery community, I'm quite a well-known name in that community now, as well as like Drifter and stuff. It's big. It's huge for me. It's really nice to see that growth for me. And it's just so nice to see how good the community is. You know, everyone, with the exception of a few people who normally, you can't avoid certain people, but 99% of the people in this community are fantastic.
Dude, do you even remember, going on a little bit of a tangent now, but do you even remember when you first started your content creator channel, and you were saying to me, like, hey, I'm thinking about getting this channel going, how would you feel about a content creator role? And dude, I gave you a bit of a hard time about it, because I was like, we don't like to kind of give out the role just willy-nilly, because and no offense to everyone out there who's grown their channels, but everyone is out there making YouTube channels. Like there's hundreds and hundreds, and the drop-off rate is huge. And so kind of like the vibe we had on the Discord was, we were like, look, we could have 100 people with red names, sure, but it's kind of like, this is my kind of philosophy, it's like if you're really putting a lot into Blade and Sorcery, and you're really interacting with this Blade and Sorcery community, and you're not just spamming videos because you want clicks, like you really want to be known in this community, then I feel like the red name should be something. It should have some kind of value to it. And dude, to your credit, you came back to me a couple of months later, hey, what do you think? I'm still growing. And I was still kind of like, hey man, you're doing good. You're doing good. It's getting there. It's not quite there. You're getting there. And to your credit, man, you came back every like month or few months, like, hey, still going. And then at a certain point, I was like, you know what, this dude's gonna make it. I was like, this dude is grinding. I can see it now. He isn't just one of these guys who's like, oh, I've been 2 months and I'm not at 1 million subs. And that was what kind of did for me. And like you said, man, I feel like you're at the stage now. You're one of those guys who's known. You're a Blade and Sorcery content creator. You're known as that, and you absolutely deserve it, man. You really stuck to it, and can't wait till you hit 10K.
Absolutely, I can't wait for 10K for multiple reasons. First of all, never thought I'd actually stick for it this long, and the fact that I have means I'll probably stick with it for a lot longer. And the idea of, I think YouTube actually finally, when you hit that 10K, so the first 1,000 is tough. That's when you start to get promoted a little bit. Then the 10K YouTube are like, okay, this guy's got a channel, we're going to promote this more, and they'll promote you even more at 10K, which if you notice, Drifter, DLC, Rob, when he hit 10K, he went to 20 so fast.
Yeah, me too. When I was back as a YouTuber, me too, dude. And I actually hit 20, I think I'm at something like 27K, and I just stopped making videos. But dude, if you keep, like, you're gonna find out, if you just keep making content, it just starts to snowball. The first 1,000 is the worst, but then after that, it's like it starts to snowball. It's really cool.
Yeah. And I will say to any people who want to make content, don't feel bad about you not getting views at first. YouTube doesn't like to promote people until you're consistent for a while. Once you've had, and it doesn't matter, you can upload daily, you can upload once a week, as long as it's consistent, you will get the viewership. And another thing is, say you do a tutorial video and that blows up and you're like, whoa, that's like 50,000 views, that's crazy, that's like, blows your mind, because it does for me sometimes. Don't be disheartened when your next video doesn't reach anywhere near that, because that happens, that's YouTube, that's just, it's the tricks of the algorithm and no one knows how it works, it's a complete mystery, and that is that. But I really do think consistency is key, and only do it if you love it. Don't do things that you think will get clicks, because I promise you, I've been there, it's not fun and it's really demotivating. You will burn out, and I made the mistake of burning out. I remember when I had my first blow up from 300 subs to 5k in like 2 months. I did 2 videos a day. I burnt myself out so badly that I didn't record for a month, and I lost my whole flow. My whole traction was just dropped. Yeah. And I finally starting to build that back up now, which is really nice. But it's a tough one. So just consistency. Do what you can manage. But yeah, but it's really important. But anyway, back on topic.
A little tangent.
Another thing is armor modding support. I know people have already been messing with that, which they really shouldn't have been, but
maybe you know the backstory there. Yeah, long story short, without getting into the weeds about it, is that that's all resolved, and now we can fully add that into the SDK. And just to kind of give, some people might be out there and say like, well, wait a minute, there's been armor modding since U8, or like, hey, I've seen armors like now for U11. The difference is back in U8, the workaround, if you remember bone holsters, was that armor was being treated like an item, and so essentially like you could have like a plate chest mail and it was just being kind of like stuck onto the character, so when an enemy was hitting, they were hitting an item, you know what I mean? And that was really clever, super clever way of getting around it. And then with the nowadays, the kind of like different things you're seeing is actually like custom avatars. So there's a framework out there by a modder, and then other modders can use that to make avatars that have like different costumes. But ultimately, it's kind of like a skin. You know what I mean? It's just like a skin pasted over. So the difference now is this is actually armor in the concept of like our armor. This is actually armored items, and helmets too. And I didn't even say this in the news because I didn't want to like mislead people about it, but in theory, modders could also use this to make beards and hair as well.
Well, I thought that would make the most sense, because you could treat it like, I mean,
because it's getting into the full character framework, so that's why they can make beard and hair. But the reason I didn't say it in the news is because it's pretty complicated. You would need a really like A-tier modder to be able to do that, and I didn't want to put that in the news because I didn't want to suggest like, oh, any modder could just like, we'll have hundreds of beards. I don't know, like let's just wait and see. Maybe some super pro modder is going to come along and make a beard pack or a hair pack, and that maybe they will. Like that's very plausible. We have some insane skilled modders, but I didn't want to let people down by saying that, so that's why we didn't put that in the news.
Yeah, it would take learning the mannequin system, which was originally a private piece of software, so it wouldn't have the tutorials out there. It wouldn't have... You couldn't just go on Google and search up how to do this. You've got to learn it, and you've got to have a knowledge of those kind of systems. So that makes the most sense to me.
And dude, you might get some modder out there who does have that kind of dedication and puts in that kind of effort. But I didn't want to just say it to suggest that it was like easy peasy lemon squeezy. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, for the least part, at least now modders can get into the armor and the helmets, and we'll try and add some documentation for that. Should be awesome.
Yeah, I think documentation is going to be necessary for definitely at least the dungeon part, absolutely, because that's going to be very confusing for some people, but I can't wait for it. But I think just dropping on the probably the final thing, obviously, well, there's a couple of things. So the roadmap changed now. With anyone who hasn't seen it is in the Discord near the top, and a few things have changed. Quite a few things have changed. So obviously, Crystal Hunt's been pushed back, which I think a lot of people expected. I think that's for the best. It was needed.
Yeah, I think we all knew that was going to happen. That was because of well, first of all, it was looking kind of that way anyway, because we were in like June, even before U11, and we were thinking like, oh man, this is pretty ambitious. Like to get Crystal Hunt done by the end of the year, it's like this is pretty wild. But let's see what happens. And then when U11 dropped, it was like, okay, this ballooned out of control, the size of this update. So then it was like, okay, delay, absolutely, this is going to get delayed. But we just didn't really know like exactly how we were going to do it. And then the roadmap change was basically us saying, well, maybe we could do another update 12, squeeze it in between, so that at least there's not like a huge lengthy update before the next update drops. That was essentially it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously we have a new dungeon coming in the final big update. For the full game, which I think the thing that excites me is it's called the Dalgarian dungeon. Now we know that is one of the factions / races that we have in the world, and obviously we can't talk too much about that. But the screenshot is showing. I'll throw that up on screen now. It's showing some kind of like desert kind of biome, right? So we can assume that's in that kind of area of the world. We can assume what their world is like. It kind of gives a lot of insight there, just from one screenshot. So the thing that excites me about that is we have that dungeon, which is based on a group, like a faction group, right? So I'm assuming at some point Outpost name will maybe be changed or will be associated with a faction.
No, actually.
Oh, really?
Incorrect. Yeah,
really?
And in fact, dude, I'm like literally holding my mouth closed because I like don't want to blur it out. So this, okay. I'll say this. Okay, this is all I'll say because I am sworn not to get into this. I promise, Cosby. I promise, Cosby, I would not say any more than I already spilled the beans on. I'll just say the Dalgarian dungeons. It is the main hinge for what Crystal Hunt mode revolves around.
Got it.
Okay. That's all I'll say. And at the start of that little screenshot, I put in like italics in like little quotes. I put like there's a little 2-line blurb, just a little taste of lore there, and. That is that's the crux of what Crystal Hunt mode is all about. That's the crux of what the Dalgarian runes are all about. And Outpost will not change. So in that sense, maybe Outpost will give you a little idea of like what is Outpost. Maybe that'll give you a little. If you think hard enough and if you dig deep enough, maybe you'll start to understand what is Outpost with relation to Dalgarian runes, with relation to the little 2-line blurb teaser I posted.
Got it.
And dude, that's it. I'm not going to say a damn thing more
because I'm absolutely reasonable.
Dude, I'm dying to just reveal everything. I just want to tell you everything that we have so far. I just want to put it all up, but Cosby's like, no. He's like, let's wait till we're further cemented with it. Let's wait till we're closer to Crystal Hunt, and also don't steal the thunder from U12. You know, so that's where I am right now.
Dude, it's like watching through Game of Thrones when you've already seen it with someone who hasn't, and you're like,
yeah. You don't even know.
Exactly. It's like you're with your girlfriend. She's like, oh, I really like that character. Oh, they're gonna die, but I don't want to tell you.
Yeah, I know exactly. I'll tell you this, man, because I know you're like a big fan of like the lore and you want to get into it. Mm-hmm. When this is all dropped, when this is all revealed and it's all out there, totally let's get back on a call. Let's 100%. Get into it. Yeah. I would love to. Like, I'd love to sit down with you and do
I can hear the excitement.
Oh man, totally. I'm so into it. It's great. It's fun.
But yeah, I think the thing that excites me the most about the idea of a new dungeon is, first of all, it's a new official map, which we haven't had since we had the dungeon drop, the first Outpost dungeon. To see that come out is huge, to have official content. First of all, the idea of an old ancient ruins is really cool to me, rather than a more newer kind of castle outpost kind of thing. Really cool. I really like that. And go on.
By the way, I was just going to say, just related to what you're saying, did you notice, by the way, if you blow up that image really big, you might notice near the kind of little obelisk thing, There's Unity kind of assets. They're like little mannequins, little white mannequins. You can just barely see them if you blow the image up.
I do see that.
Did you see that? Yeah, they kind of blend to background. So this is because this was in Unity. This was an in Unity screenshot. This was an internal image. But we said to ourselves, oh, let's leave them because I want to give you guys a sense of the scale of these runes. So unlike Outpost, which is like a castle, like you were saying, kind of castle-y vibe, dude, these things are huge. It's
yeah, that makes sense.
It's like, do you ever see like Prometheus or something like that? You know, just these huge vaults.
Yes.
So the vibe is going to be completely unlike Outpost vibe. You know, this is when we say new biome, this is true. We hope this is truly going to feel like a new biome. You know,
it instantly gives me the feeling of like we shouldn't be there. But we are, and we're gonna go there. Yeah, I like. Exactly. I can already see the whole thing for Crystal Hunt lining up. Yeah, it sounds great. It sounds fantastic. Looks fantastic.
New assets,
as well.
New assets, some new mechanic. So it's gonna be fun, dude.
Absolutely awesome. I cannot wait to see some of that stuff. I have a request for you to pass to the dev team. Because there is one thing that me and a few people, especially some content creators, that we've been talking through it. So in U11, we got the Citadel, the Citadel upgrade with the nice new background and all the nice new stuff. And Canyon's got its nice overhaul. Got some really nice stuff on the bridge.
I know what you're going to say. Are you going to say ruins?
Please, Ruins needs it. I love Ruins so much, and it's just.
Tell me about it.
It looks like it's still U7 with some shiny floor now.
Dude, tell me about it. Anytime I go back to Ruins, I want to throw up. We all feel the same way. Okay,
I know that Drags was like desperate to redo some of Ruins. He kept going on about how much he wants to get on with that. So I think. Could you say whether or not it's likely we see that? I think it is, personally. I think it is.
Okay, let me tell you exactly, okay? It is 100% on the radar. All of us huddle around. We're all like, oh man, Ruins. Like, it's from another era. We all want to upgrade it. We all want to get away from the store asset element of Ruins as well. Okay, so here's where we are. It's just like the 11.3, okay? We want to do it, but we want to rework it so it makes sense. It's like, if we're going to do it, let's make it sense. Let's actually tie it into the lore of Blades and Sorcery.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
If this is Ruins of what? What kind of map is it? Like, I was saying, I would love it to be like a snow map. Like, let's do an actual snow map. Like, you know the way if you go to top Ruins, it's kind of like snowy mountains. Well, let's do it like actual snow. Like, maybe we could have snowfall or something. That was one theory.
Oh yeah.
Like, maybe we could have like snowy texture on the rock. I'm not too sure. And then like we have a really great environments team now. Like, we expanded out the environments team. So let's do it like gorgeous. Let's make this a really beautiful looking map. And then in gameplay, we were saying like one of the cool things about Ruins back in, since its origin was it was always cool that it had some verticality to it. It was always like cool that it had second floor. You could throw guys off. So it would be cool if we could retain some of that. And hey, let's maybe make that the focal point of the map. Perhaps it could be a vertical map. You know what I mean? Like, we could lean into that. We could maybe do like something different, a vertical map or something. So we gotta have our environment team sit down and think about that. We gotta have our environment like tech team sit down and think about snow, and if we were to do snow. We gotta have our game designers sit down and think about, okay, how do we want this to play out? Is it gonna be a vertical map? How vertical are we talking? We gotta have our lore guys sit down and think about. So we all want to do it, but we just gotta have all our team components like sit down all our teams sit down and work out the components, and we're just so goddamn busy. That's it. That's what it always boils down to. So I'll just say it's definitely on the radar. I just don't know, if, how, when, but we all want it. But that's it, man. We're just always so busy. But God, I open up that Ruins map and I'm just like, welcome to U7.
I think it might be the only map of the original maps as well that can't just be touched up and added to. It's got to almost be redone.
Exactly. Like everything is so out of date, and it just from the concept design to the textures, those ugly rock textures. Yeah. I just want to wipe it all away. Boom. Here's a new concept of Ruins that makes sense, and designed, you know, that's not just like a slap together sandbox or slap together arena. It's like this is actually designed for Blade and Sorcery.
Yeah, and I've always liked the atmosphere of Ruins. Even back in U7, it was probably my favorite map to use, especially for lightsaber, just because of the darkness in it and stuff. It's really nice. So I think seeing that, once that's up to date, I think every map will look fantastic. I mean, even just the slight additions to Arena and Canyon just really brought them back to the modern game, which is
totally
nice.
I was saying to the guys, like, everyone hates Ruins nowadays. Like, that's everyone's least favorite map. I was saying the challenge wouldn't it be great if we could make Ruins everyone's favorite map? Like, that is something to strive towards, you know, like
it's doable.
It's a bit like
so doable.
We were joking around doing spells for U11, and I was always joking with Laneka about lightning. It's like lightning is everyone's least favorite spell. Like, it just is. And so the joke there was like, hey man, can you make lightning to be a fan favorite? Can you turn this around? You know, and so that, it's like, dude, it's up there. Like, I think gravity still always wins out. But lightning, you saw it yourself. You saw the splash you had. With the community posting like, oh, the lightning blast and the chopping heads off with the lightning whip, and like, so, you know, that's always our goal, is to try and like outdo, you know, things of old, turn people's least favorite things into people's favorite things. That's always an admirable goal, I think, to aim for.